Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. We've been looking at housing from alternative perspectives, so let's talk to the senior economist and public finance policy analyst at the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. He is Alex Hemingway. Alex, thanks so much for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, Mo.
So I got to ask you, we live in this weird environment when it comes to housing. A lot of people are making a lot of money off housing, or at least seeing their investment or asset appreciate, in kind of crazy terms. And at the same time, renters are struggling to find a place to pay an affordable rent. Yep. Can we just tax our way out of this? Is there a solution where we can just tax our way out?
Well, actually, no. We can't just tax our way out. Taxes can play a role. There's a whole range of things we need to do to address the housing crisis. Two of the most fundamental other ones to me are we need to massively increase investment in not-for-profit and public housing. Okay. We need to significantly increase the overall supply of housing of all kinds, address those municipal level roadblocks that are chronically blocking housing, exclusionary zoning that bans apartments in most of the land and in most of our cities. Having said that, property tax, the focus of our recent report, plays a related but a distinct role. And what it can do is help address the accumulated land wealth inequality that is taken off as housing prices have exploded in recent decades. It can also help raise revenue that can go towards investment in some of that affordable housing that I was talking about a moment ago. And I think
I'm decoding this. So what I'm getting at is you want to raise property taxes, which I feel like is probably not a very popular thing amongst homeowners. Am I right?
Well, I think you are right. Okay. And what we've done in this recent report is lay out a menu of property tax policy options focused at the provincial level, provincial policy.
I thought property taxes are municipal.
Well, it's actually municipal, regional, and provincial, and the province levies a significant portion of property taxes. And look, the sheer level of property wealth in this province is staggering.
Sure,
so it's increased by $1.7 trillion in less than 2 decades, just since the mid-2000s. That's just the residential property, by the way.
Okay.
And so what we wanted to do, largely focusing on the top end of the property market, is lay out a menu of policy options that could help address that extreme inequality, help tackle that, and bring in some revenue that could go towards affordable housing.
How do you sell this to the general public? Because I feel like the general public is very resistant to any idea of property tax increases.
Property tax policy can be very contentious. There's no question about that. In the report, we look at a range of options. Some of them are quite narrowly targeted. So, for example, raising property tax rates just on the portion of the value above $3 million. Also adding a new bracket above $7 million. We could bring in substantial revenue with that type of policy that only affects 2% of the most expensive properties in the province. We look at broader based options too. There, the politics are much more challenging. Okay. But I think it's a discussion we have to have. Even property rich British Columbians, I think, recognize that the huge land value gains that we've seen in this province have largely been a stroke of luck. And that's unintentionally, from their perspective, come at the expense of others. And this housing crisis is corroding our social fabric. So I think we have to face down the extent that of the inequality that's been created, and we have to have a discussion about that.
So really quickly to summarize, you're proposing that, restructure property taxes, certainly raise them, especially at the upper level, raise some revenue to invest in social housing, but then also, have that create a bit of a deflationary effect on home prices as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And
sorry, where I wanted to go with that is I've heard you say that Vancouver in particular has very low property taxes, but I've heard other people say that property taxes are out of control. So really quickly, which one is it?
Well, property tax rates in Vancouver and adjacent municipalities are among the lowest in North America. And the reason for that is property taxes are a bit unusual. With the income tax or the sales tax, we set tax rates and they stick whether your income rises or falls or whether you buy more stuff or less stuff. Property taxes rates are actually adjusted every year. And as prices have skyrocketed. The tax rates are adjusted to make sure we're not raising too much revenue from property taxes. So it's an unusual type of tax, and it creates an incentive to hold residential real estate as an investment because the carrying costs are very low. And just think, what other type of investment is there out there as the value of that investment rises, the property tax, the tax rate applied to it is decreased year after year. That's an unusual situation.
Well, Alex, I appreciate the work that you've done. I feel like it's going to generate a little controversy, but I certainly think that we have to look at this in the overall toolbox of policy options. So thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, that is our show. I hope you learned something new. I certainly have a newfound appreciation for just how little we're doing to protect renters and how little we're doing to address the housing crisis. So big thank you to Sean Orr, TikToker Papa, Vancouver City Councillor Christine Boyle, and Alex Hemingway for tonight's show. Please send your complaints to the team at chekmedia.ca. Of course, this is VANCOLOUR, and I'm Mo Amir telling you that in a province where you can be anything, be colorful. Peace.